Guys, welcome back after that short advert break. As I've indicated, our focus today is instruction and assembly diagrams. Now let's look at our first example. So here at question number 1, I've indicated that Tyler bought a framed mirror for a room. She wants to mount the mirror on the wall using 2 screws. She received the following mounting instructions, diagrams A to D, and important here, it's not in order with the mirror, right? Further on says, carefully study the diagram and answer the questions that follow. Now, guys, there we have our diagram. As we can see, there are A, B, C, D. And as you can see, it's not in a particular order. Okay, what else do I see? There's a picture somehow of the mirror. There's a picture of the hole. And then there's also the screw, as well as some indication of a measurement that needs to be taken if I look here. Okay, 700 millimeters. So that's the important information that's given. So it's always important to first take some time out and see what your question is all about. Okay, so it says, carefully study the diagram and answer the questions that follow. Now let's look at our first question. It says, refer to the diagrams and write down the correct order in which the mirror should be mounted. Important here, use A, B, C, and D. All right, so that's what we need to do. Again, there we have our diagrams. So in which order do you think we need to do this? So if I look at this, I think the first step here will be to indicate, I'll start with B. Right, if I look at what is happening at B, there's my hole, right, where I'm going to basically mount the mirror to. Then also it's basically where I do the planning, right? And I already marked there with 1X, so that's basically where the screw is going to go. Okay, then I'll say the next step in this diagram will be C, right? You can see now I've indicated where I'm going to draw and then basically put the screws. Okay, then if I look, next step is where I've indicated there the screw will go. Guys, if you look there, okay, I've marked with the X there. So this is where our mirror will be mounted. Are we clear on that? And then if you look, so let me just indicate that is A. And then lastly, if you look, there we have the mirror mounted onto the hole. So therefore, I would say then the last step here will be D. Guys, are we clear on that? Let me quickly run through that again. It says refer to the diagrams, right? And write down the correct order in which the mirror should be mounted. So I started off by saying B should be the first step. That's basically your planning, looking at the hole, looking at the mirror, and see what you're going to do. Then second step here will be C, right? Where you basically marked where you're going to draw, right? And put the screws. Then third step is A. There we will see, now I'm going to basically draw and put the screws to hang or to mount my mirror. And then lastly, the last step here is D, where I'm going to hang or mount my mirror. Guys, I hope that's clear to all of you. Okay, let's look at our next question. So question B, it says, if written instructions had accompanied this diagram, match the following instruction with the correct diagram. Now let's see what instruction that is. The instruction says, use a pencil or a pen and a level to make the second mark labeled X, right? Exactly 700 millimeters from the first mark. Now, when I look at this, I'll definitely say that that will be diagram C. Why is that? Can we see here is the first mark already? Now we've indicated there is, if you look, I'm going to make the second mark there now as well, where I'm going to draw, right? And then there's also a level that I'm using to make sure that it's level, right? That it's not skew when I'm going to mount this mirror, okay? So definitely it says use, right? A pencil and a pen and a level to make the second mark X, there's your second mark, exactly, and there we see 700 millimeters is indicated from the first mark. So meaning the distance between this first mark and the second mark is 700 millimeters. So therefore, I'll say that will be diagram C, right? That will basically represent this instruction. Guys, are we clear on that? All right, let's now move on to our next question. So I'm now looking at question number 2. It says, Mrs. Pretorius bought a new sewing machine. With the help of the diagrams alongside, provide instructions in the correct order on how to wind a bobbin of a sewing machine. Then write down only the corresponding letter in the correct order. Guys, so there we have our diagrams, figure A to figure D. Okay, so let's look at the instruction again. It says, with the help of the diagrams, provide instructions in the correct order on how to wind a bobbin of a sewing machine. And then, this is key here. Write down only the corresponding letter in the correct order. Now let's move and look at the instructions. Still the same diagram, right? So here we have our instructions. And what are we saying? Instruction A, guide the cotton thread into the bobbin hole to lock it and then insert the bobbin into the bobbin winder. Remember, these instructions now here is A to D, but it's not in the correct order. That's your job. Now, that's the aim. We must put this in the correct order. So I'm just going to run through all the instructions and then we'll match them. B says, remove the bobbin from the bobbin winder and cut off the loose threads. Then, instruction C, guide the thread from the bobbin cotton rail through the turner wheel. And then lastly, D, turn on the power button and start winding. Now guys, if I look at this, I'll definitely say that figure A is the first step. What is happening in figure A? We are saying, guide the cotton thread into the bobbin hole and lock it and then insert the bobbin into the bobbin winder. We agree, right? So now looking at next step will be C. What is C indicating? It says we are here now, right? So we're done with A. I'm looking at figure C. It says guide the thread from the bobbin cotton rail through the turner wheel, as we can see in the diagram there. Now we're getting ready to basically use the machine. Then moving onwards, next step here will be D. All right, so what is D indicating? It says turn on the power button and start winding. So now we're ready to use the machine. Turn on the power button and start winding. And then obviously then we're left with B. That's the last step here. It says remove. So at the end, after you're done winding, right, it says remove the bobbin from the bobbin winder and cut off the loose threads. Guys, let's run through this again. A is the first step where we guide the cotton thread into the bobbin hole, as we can see here. Okay. And then insert the bobbin into the bobbin winder here at the bottom. Next step will be C. It says guide the thread from the bobbin cotton rail through the turner wheel, as we can see here in the machine, right? Then D will be our third step. What is happening now? We will turn on the power, right, button and start winding. And obviously right at the end, we will remove the bobbin from the bobbin winder and cut off the loose threads, making that B our last step. Guys, let us take a quick break. After the break, we'll continue with our lesson. See you after the break.